Let's take a look at this problem. We got x minus 2 over x squared minus x minus 6 minus x over x squared minus 4 equals 3 over 2x plus 4. Now step 1. Factor all our denominators. Now this one's PSD, this one's difference two squares, and this one's GCF. So let's look at a couple of these over on the side. We got x squared minus x minus 6. PSD because it's x squared, x, no x, and there's no number in front of your x squared. So we take the number at the end, ignoring the sign, if there is one, and we come up with the 3 columns. P is for products. I list for all the products of 6. We got 1 times 6, 2 times 3. The S is for sum. I want to add these together. 1 plus 6 is 7, 2 plus 3 is 5. D is difference. I want to subtract these, smaller from larger. 6 minus 1 is 5, 3 minus 2 is 1. Number we're looking for is a number for our middle term, which is 1, which is right here, which means we use 2 and 3. Now our larger number in the P column that we're using, which is a 3, is always going to be the same sign as the middle term, which was negative. Number with circles in the difference column, D for different signs, means one's positive and one's negative. Since the 3 is negative, then the 2 has to be positive. So that factors as x minus 2 over x plus 2, x minus 3. Minus x over, now x squared minus 4. Dots, difference two squares. 2 terms, the minus between it, that's what makes us so I want to try that. We try to write it as something squared minus something else squared. You look at each individual piece and you ask yourself what times itself gives you that. For example, x times x gives you x squared, and 2 times 2 gives you 4. Now I'll label what's inside the first set of parentheses as f for first. Now I'll label what's in the last set of parentheses as L for last. This is just a formula. F plus L times F minus L. Now we're going to take what's inside our first set of parentheses, which is, or everywhere we have an F, we'll put an X. Everywhere we have an L, we'll put in 2. So we got x plus 2 times x minus 2. So that's what that factors as. And over on this side is GCF. They both have a 2 in common, so I factor out a GCF of 2, which leaves us x plus 2. Step 2. I'm going to do it down here to make sure I have room. Step 2 is figure out what your LCM is of all the denominators and then multiply everything by it. So I'll start with my first factor, the 2 here. I'm looking for the greatest number of single 2's in any denominator. There's none here, there's none here, there's 1 here. So the greatest number of single 2's in any denominator is 1. Then I go to my next factor, x plus 2, and I'm looking for the greatest number of x plus 2's in any single denominator. There's 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, so the greatest number of x plus 2's is 1. And I go to my next factor, x minus 3. And I'm looking for the greatest number of x minus 3's in any single denominator. There's 1 here, none here, none here, so greatest number of x minus 3's is 1. And my last one, the x plus 2. I'm looking for the greatest number of x plus 2's in any single denominator. There's, wait a minute, x minus 2, sorry. Greatest number of x minus 2's in any single denominator. There's none here, 1 here, none here, so it'll be 1. And that's what we're going to multiply everything by. So multiply times our first fraction times the x minus 2 over x plus 2, x minus 3. We'll multiply it times our second fraction. I'll put it after the fraction. So times 2, x plus 2, x minus 3, x minus 2. And we'll multiply times the fraction on the right side. So 2, x plus 2, x minus 3, x minus 2 times 3 over 2 times x plus 2. Okay, this x plus 2 cancels that x plus 2. This x minus 3 cancels that x minus 3. Over here, this x plus 2 cancels that x plus 2. This x minus 2 cancels with that x minus 2. Over on the right side, this 2 cancels with this 2. This x plus 2 cancels with this x plus 2. So let me write down what I have left. I have a 2 here, and then x minus 2 minus x times 2, and then x minus 3 equals 3 times x minus 3, x minus 2. Okay, so x minus 2 times x minus 2, x times x is x squared, x times negative 2 is negative 2x, negative 2 times x is negative 2x, negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4, minus 2x, x times 2, times x minus 3, equals 3 times, multiply x minus 3 times x minus 2, x times x is x squared, x times negative 2 is negative 2x, negative 3 times x is negative 3x, negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6. Combine together like terms, negative 2x is negative 4x. Multiply negative 2x through, negative 2x times x is negative 2x squared. Negative 2x times negative 3 is a positive 6x, equals 3 times negative 2x, negative 3x is negative 5x. Now multiply 2 through, 2 times x squared is 2x squared, 2 times negative 4x is negative 8x, 2 times 4 is 8, minus 2x squared plus 6x equals 3 times x squared is 3x squared, 3 times negative 5 is negative 15x, 3 times 16 is 18. Always combine together like terms at any step. 2x squared minus 2x squared cancels away. Negative 8x plus 6x, that gives us negative 2x, plus 8 is equal to 3x squared minus 15x plus 18. Step 3. Solve for x. Well, this one's a quadratic, so I want to get everything over one side, 0 on the other. So I'll take the 8 to the right side, and I'll take the negative 2x to the right side. Remember, when you take anything across your equals, your sign changes. So we got 3x squared minus 15x plus 2x plus 18 minus 8. Negative 15x plus 2x gives us negative 13x. 18 minus 8 is 10. And now we're ready to factor it. It's going to factor using the key number. I'll do that over here on the side. So I got 3x squared minus 13x plus 10. Key number because it's x squared, x, no x, and there's a number before your x squared. We take the number at the beginning times the number at the end, ignoring signs. So we take 3 times 10, gives us 30. We're going to write down all the products to give us 30. That's what the P stands for, a product. We got 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 5 times 6. The S column, S for sum. We add these together. 1 plus 30 is 31, 2 plus 15 is 17, 3 plus 10 is 13, 5 plus 6 is 11. D is difference. We subtract smaller from larger. 30 minus 1 is 29, 15 minus 2 is 13, 10 minus 3 is 7, 6 minus 5 is 1. Number we're looking for is number for our middle term, which is 13. Now we got two 13s. The one we want is this one in the S column. So we're going to use 3 and 10. How do I know that? Well, my last term is positive. If your last term is positive, then it'll always be the one in the S column. If your last term is negative, it'll be the one in the difference column. So we got 3x squared. Now we're going to rewrite our middle term using those two numbers. Now our larger number that we're using, which is the 10, will always be the same size as the middle term, which is negative. Number with circles in the S column, S for same sign, so if the 10 is negative, then the 3 will be negative. Then we'll use factoring by grouping. First group has x in common. That gives us 3x minus 10. Second group doesn't have anything in common, but my first term is negative, so I can factor out negative 1. And that gives us 3x minus 10. Now our goal was to get these parentheses the same, and they are. They're both 3x minus 10. So I'll factor that out. And to see what goes in your second set of parentheses, you can now cross out these 3x minus 10s. And what isn't crossed out is what goes right here, which would be x minus 1. So this factors as 3x minus 10 times x minus 1. Zero factor property. If you get 0 on one side, you factor the other side, you can set each factor equal to 0. So I'll set 3x minus 10 equal to 0, and x minus 1 equal to 0. And we want to solve these. So I'll take negative 10 to the right side, so we get 3x is equal to 10. Divide both sides by 3. And we get x is equal to 10 thirds. Our other one, take the negative 1 over, and it becomes a positive 1. And assuming those don't cause any denominator equal to 0, those would be your answers. Let's go up and check them, though. Do the 10 thirds first. If I put 10 thirds, and probably the factored form is the best place to look. 10 thirds plus 2 is 20 thirds. 10 thirds minus 3, I have no clue what it is. But those two multiplied together, there's no way they're going to give us 0. If I put 10 thirds here and 10 thirds here, there's no way I'm going to get 0. If I put 10 thirds here, 10 thirds plus 2 times 2, I don't know what it is, but it's not 0. So we're fine. Now x equals 1. If I put 1 here, 1 plus 2 is 3. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. 3 times negative 2 is not 0. 1 plus 2 is 3. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Again, that's not 0. Put 1 here. 1 plus 2 is 3. Times 2 is 6. That's not 0. It's pretty obvious what answers would have caused you problems. If I'd found like x equals 3, well, if I put 3 here, 3 minus 3 would give me 0. And so 10 thirds and 1 is our answers. Are our answers.